In this video we'll look at exploded views in SolidWorks. An exploded view shows how components of an assembly fit together. You'll find the exploded view tool on the assembly toolbar. To make an exploded view you can drag components using a manipulator one at a time, or you can explode groups of components in a chain step. Exploded views are always saved with the active configuration. These exploded views can be brought into your drawings. It's good practice to create a separate configuration to store your exploded view. So when we look at this in SolidWorks, I will create a separate exploded configuration and we'll add our exploded view in that configuration. SolidWorks have made some nice improvements to the exploded view tool in SolidWorks. There's a new rollback bar to help you visualize the explode sequence step by step. You can reorder these steps directly in the configuration manager, and at any point you can create new steps at the rollback position. You can also suppress explode steps as well as delete them. And now Animation supports more video file formats as well as AVI, which has been around for a long time. You can now also save your animation as an MP4. We'll now look at creating a simple exploded view of a screw jack. So here's our screw jack assembly in SolidWorks. It consists of a jack base, which is the first component that's inserted here and it's fixed. And then we have a screw, we have the horizontal bar, we've got a collar, and we have a circlip which is in here in the groove here in the screw. Now before I create my exploded view, I'm going to rotate the screw here so that the front view of our assembly here is looking straight on at the bar. So we're going to line it up with the x-axis, and I'm going to do the same for the grooves on the collar. Now I don't actually want to add any mates to do this, so I'll use the position only option within the mate tool. So if I click mate here, I'll select the front plane here of the assembly, and there it is. And if I select the bar here, and let's select the front plane of that, and as you can see SolidWorks aligns now the axis or the plane there of the bar with the plane of the assembly. Now I'm going to make these parallel, but I'm not actually going to add this as a mate. I'm just going to use for positioning only. So I'll tick that box, click OK, and click OK again to apply the mate. So if I look in now at the front view of our assembly, I'm looking at the full true length there of the bar. So I'll do the same with the collar, so you're looking straight at the grooves here rather than looking at a foreshortened view of them. Use the mate tool. Let's select the front plane of our assembly again. I'll expand out the collar here, and let's select the front plane of the collar, and you can see there SolidWorks makes them coincident. We'll use the parallel mate. So but I won't actually add this mate. So by ticking this box, clicking OK twice, it doesn't actually add the mate. So if you right click, collapse items, we haven't actually added any mates. But when I come to do my exploded view now, the axis here of the bar is aligned here with the triad x-axis, and it makes it easy to create my exploded view. So if I go to the configuration manager, here's our default configuration. And while we don't, strictly speaking, have to create a separate configuration, it's good practice, as I said earlier. So I'm going to add a new configuration. Let's call it exploded and click OK. So now when I do the explode steps, they will be added to the active configuration. Currently now is the exploded configuration. So back here in our feature manager, here's our assembly, and the exploded configuration is now the active configuration. So to add an exploded view now, you can go to the assembly toolbar and select exploded view, or another way to do this is to right click on the exploded configuration and select new exploded view. There are no steps because we're starting from the start. So explode step 1. Now the base won't be moving, but all the other components will. So if I use a crossing window here, I've now picked the other 4 components, and click on your isometric view here, and using the triad I will click on the y-axis and I will drag these components straight up like that and place it there by eye. Now while you do have an option to rotate components as you drag them out, I'll not do that here. We'll just stick with the regular translate step. We won't bother with the rotate step. So click done to add the first step. So I can rename explode step 1. It gives a good description of what you've actually done in the explode step. So there's our first step, and we've renamed it there, and there are 4 components in that step. Now they should be a logical order to the explode. If I click on the bar here, and this time I'll use the x-axis, and I'll just drag that out there and place that there by eye. If you want to give it a name, move bar, click done. So that's now our second step. If I want to move the Circlip and the color together, I can select them there, and again go back to your isometric view, and this time I'll drag on the y-axis of the triad, and I'll move the 2 of those there together. So click done after each step to apply it, and finally we'll have move the Circlip has now been selected, and again by eye I'll drag it straight up there and click done. Here's our explode step. Let's click OK on this, and let's see where this is stored. So if you now go to your exploded configuration and you expand it out, you'll see here you've got the exploded view, and underneath it we've got the steps. So if you click on any of these steps, you can reposition these components by clicking on the triad there. I can use the rollback bar to roll through each step at a time. So that was the next step. We moved out the bar. The next step we did was move the color and the clip. And again, position this by eye. And finally, we have this step here, moved the Circlip. So by giving the steps a name, you get a very good idea of the sequence in which you have exploded the assembly. You can right click and edit any of these steps at any time by going edit explode step. Takes you back in, and you can change the components that are being selected as part of a step, or anything else that you need to change there. You can go back and do that. I could also reorder these steps by dragging them up and down on the tree here. So I've now changed the sequence here. So now I'm saying I move the color and the clip before I move the bar. So you can drag these, so I'll reverse these now. So you can reorder steps, and you can therefore tell a very logical story with your explode view. As well as creating an exploded view, you can add an explode line sketch to it. So select explode line sketch here underneath exploded view. SolidWorks looks for the items to connect. You've got this toolbar here with options to jog a line if you need to. So items to connect, I always select faces here. Make sure the arrow is pointing in the direction you want to go, and I'll run this right through, and I'll click that face there because they're all concentric there, and I'll add that root line there, and I'll add another one from the bar through to the hole here, and I'll click OK on that, and click OK again. Use Ctrl Q, you can rebuild your assembly there like that. So if you double click on the exploded view, it will collapse, and when it's collapsed, if you right click on it, you can animate the exploded view, and this will animate the steps that you've created already in your exploded view. You can have playback mode, you can reverse the steps, cancel that. So double clicking on the exploded view will collapse it, double clicking on it again will explode it. So there's an exploded view of our screw jack. We have our default configuration, and we have our exploded configuration. When the exploded configuration is active, double click on the exploded view, and there is your exploded view. And in this case we have 4 steps. Our explode line is added here to a 3D sketch, and you can go in and edit that sketch as well if you want. And our sequence of steps are stored here underneath the exploded view. So we'll see how to bring this exploded view through into an animation in another video. Thanks for watching.